sun is so weak right now. Also, there are no productive days this week, so don't plan on being productive. I have marked one day for some semblance of productivity, so stay tuned. So it's a surprise. Blockchain is the ultimate corruption of our time. It was born at the beginning of Pluto's transit of Capricorn in 2008. The retail customer day trading app Robinhood, in one of their ads, talks about getting the rates and perks normally reserved for high society. Finance games are being framed as, hey, no, you can't go outside. Anyway, a recent presidential candidate made her first comments on blockchain because this sector of the US partisan system has been quiet on the matter, and everyone's excited. That means that she's signaling support, but none of this matters. This isn't a rebel technology that needs acceptance from the stodgy old institutions. It's already accepted. You're gonna get it no matter what. They're building 10-lane blockchain freeways. They're putting the whole world on it. You see a lot on this channel that politics is the entertainment division of industry. There's also a thing that is being done by Pleaser DAO, and it's just a wacky, fun, silly thing. They're doing a thing where you can place a bet on their side for who's going to win the US presidential election, and then they're going to put all that money into a bet on Polymarket, and then you did it. Oh my gosh, you did it. Wow. And then everybody's going to get the multiples if the bet on Polymarket wins. This is not just a wacky stunt. It is a way to change the voting system. I don't even care that the voting system is changing. It's happening no matter what. It's just annoying that it's done in this underhanded manner. This is meant to promote that and get everybody excited about blockchain. In my opinion, blockchain was born during Pluto's ingress from Sagittarius to Capricorn. This is the final run of Pluto in Capricorn. So we can see there's this buildup towards blockchain being crowned in multiple ways. So not just, this is a thing to show the public that blockchain is not just about money, but it is also about money. It financializes everything. It turns every interaction into a transaction because every interaction needs to be tokenized in order to train AI, because everyone knows that the way you train LLMs is through tokens. So Pluto is stationing direct next week, which marks its final run through Capricorn, leaving Capricorn forever in our lifetimes, entering Aquarius for the next 20 years. Blockchain is the ultimate corruption of our time, masquerading as something liberating. Also, in some ways, science, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say institutions leveraging science are the ultimate corruption of our time. I think a part of the ultimate corruption, another one besides blockchain, is that institutions leveraging science are doing corrupt things in such overtly corrupt ways, which makes it easy for people to be like, oh, science is corrupt. And then your detractors can say, science can't possibly be corrupt. It's the most empirical, evidence-based system ever. But you're just confused that it's not really science itself. It's institutions, organizations leveraging science. That's a part of Pluto and Aquarius, in my opinion, especially the middle degrees. And that's where the Pluto of the US Constitution is. So that'll be 2032. There was governance drama at OpenAI, but everybody knows that large tech companies are your new government, and politics is the entertainment division of industry. And it has something to do with OpenAI switching from a nonprofit to a B Corp. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman wrote a blog post, which he never does, saying that superintelligence is coming in a few thousand days. This article basically says that AI is going to make us all wizards. We'll be able to do things that seem like magic now, just like our ancient ancestors might have thought computers are magic. Soon we'll each have our own AI team to help us do whatever we want. And that's already happening. Look at a few reports, a few videos back, where I talk about this swarm of Minecraft agents that operated agnostically of Minecraft. They were able to use different apps like Slack and Google Docs. Anyway, he also talks about personal tutors for any subject, instant healthcare, and the ability to create anything you can imagine. He discusses some risks like job losses and misuse of artificial intelligence, but he's optimistic. He thinks we'll figure it out and end up a super prosperous society where everyone's life is better than the best life today. He illustrates that instead of wishing we were lighting lamps by hand, we look back at now and think, wow, they had it rough. So if you've watched this channel at all, you'll know that I would take issue with the last part, which I do wish we were lighting lamps by hand a little bit. There is the fact that they're a fire hazard, but we have the technology to fix that. But blue light is the scourge of human health. It robs you of antioxidants. I made a video about that on my other channel, but I talk about it here a lot. A tugboat powered by ammonia set sail for the first time. So ammonia apparently holds promise as a clean fuel source. But what does clean mean? Exposure to ammonia can cause severe respiratory issues, skin and eye irritation, and even death in intense circumstances. So this makes me think of Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20 years and contamination of the air, something that happened the moment Pluto entered Aquarius. Back in 2023, Pluto entered Aquarius for the first time. It enters into Aquarius and then dips out, enters again and then dips out, and now in November, Pluto will officially enter Aquarius for the next 20 years. But what happened was a big train accident in Ohio that contaminated the air. Accidents or leaks during production, transportation, storage, or just use of ammonia could have significant health and environmental consequences. So can the types of fuel we use now that aren't considered clean. Incomplete combustion of ammonia can produce nitrous oxide, which is a greenhouse gas. So you got to make sure you do it right. No mistakes. Nitrous oxide has global warming potential that far exceeds carbon dioxide, apparently. Ammonia combustion can also produce nitrogen oxides, contributing to smog, acid rain, and respiratory problems. If you are an expert on this stuff, please correct whatever I'm wrong about, please. And leaks can contaminate water and soil and disrupt the nitrogen cycle. It's not a godsend, I don't think, but we are doing our best. California is suing ExxonMobil, claiming the oil giant lied about plastic recycling for 50 years. They say Exxon tricked people into using more plastic by making recycling seem better than it really is. Exxon says that California is the real problem for not fixing their recycling system. Some California towns built what are basically giant Brita filters on steroids. These are huge tanks full of special polymer beads that trap forever chemicals. So the polymer, it's called a resin technique, but they're using plastic to remove the forever chemicals from the water. But these polymer beads are engineered to have a high surface area like charcoal. I don't know how they're all that different from charcoal. I guess the thing about the polymer beads is that they are designed to have a particular affinity with forever chemicals. It's also very expensive. The Department of Justice is suing Visa, alleging they're abusing their dominant position in the debit card market. Visa is accused of using its market share to stifle competition and overcharge, which ultimately impacts customers through increased prices. In my opinion, this is a setup for blockchain and more blockchain, because this is Pluto's final run through Capricorn. The Department of Justice is seeking to restore fairness and balance to the market, ensuring a level playing field for all players, including fintech innovators. Imagine you buy a movie online. California's new law says that stores have to tell you that you're not really buying it. You're just renting it forever. This is because some companies have been taking away people's purchases, and this law makes them honest about how that works, or makes them honest about what exactly we're paying for. Hundreds more Nazca lines have apparently been hidden in plain sight. According to the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, researchers using an AI imaging tool called ResNet 50 have uncovered over 300 new Nazca lines, almost doubling the number that have been identified over the past 80 years. So that's interesting, the technology. We needed planes to be able to see those to begin with, and now new technology is allowing us to uncover more. These include 2 depictions of orcas holding knives. The patterns are smaller, more intricate designs that were previously not detectable by the naked eye. So there's a growing role of AI in archaeology. During this season of eclipse, I wonder about the arubric, is that a word? Aruberous as an adjective? The arubric nature of our very advanced technology, offering us more and more deep insight into our ancient past until something truly unnerving occurs to us. I don't know what. Meta unveiled Orion, their revolutionary AR glasses. I saw someone on LinkedIn call these the holy grail of mixed reality hardware. An ultra-thin graphene implant was just tested in a person. A profound advancement in the realm of neurotechnology. A patient undergoing a necessary tumor resection has become the first human subject to receive a graphene-based brain implant. One thing I think this is doing is normalizing the use of graphene in our bodies. It's a thing. Graphene can self-assemble, but that's not what this is. This is an ultra-thin implant that represents a paradigm shift in brain-computer interfaces. Potential applications range from precise mapping of neural pathways during surgery to the future treatment of neurological disorders such as Parkinson's. Through the lens of this article, it suggests a future where the mysteries of the human mind are further unveiled and the burden of neurological disease is lessened. But also, you can control people with this. This is something that John C. Lilly was working on in the 60s and 70s. And the US government made him give them the technology. I tell a story about this in one of my reports from back in the spring, and I'll try to link it here if I remember. So if it's not there now, check back in a few days. He developed this technology that was these like thin little implants, and he controlled animals with them. I don't really want to talk about the White House agonizing over whether or not to sign the cybercrime bill because they're worried about Russia and China using it as an excuse to spy on people. Verizon experienced a significant service disruption on Monday morning, impacting thousands of customers in major metropolitan areas across the United States. Users reported an inability to place calls or send text messages, with many devices displaying in SOS mode. Verizon acknowledged the issue. The outage underscores critical reliance on telecommunications infrastructure in our increasingly connected society. Watch my special report on decentralized physical infrastructure networks. It's on a playlist that I made for all my special reports. Data centers are so hot right now in commercial real estate. Everyone needs more space for their servers and artificial intelligence. They're appearing everywhere and they're so popular they're even taking over old office buildings, sometimes ripping out elevators to make room for more computers. Everyone is scrambling for space and power, and it's only going to get crazier. We're just going to need more and more computing power in the future to meet Sam Altman's view of the future, which loops back around to the energy and resources section of this presentation. Have you watched my Manage Wellness video? It's also in the playlist I made for special reports. It's about the Jupiter-Saturn square, and it's also about the Jupiter-Saturn square through the lens of the entire Jupiter-Saturn cycle. So this Jupiter-Saturn square is the opening square coming from the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in December of 2020. And my hypothesis, which is not just mine, but I recognized it as a part of the Jupiter-Saturn cycle, is the healthcare world is moving more and more to wellness. Everything about healthcare, whether you liked it or not, is now constellating throughout your wellness products and services. Anyway, I saw this quote from a report by Van Group about beauty and personal care. And sometimes people don't agree, and that's okay. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to be inconsolable at the price of peace, at your discretion. Anyway, some people don't agree, and that's okay, but it helps us grow. It's hard to say what you want sometimes. Sometimes there's like what you want, but you don't want to cause conflict. So you just be a doormat, and that's Libra. And I don't know anything about that personally. It's all from book learning. That's how I know that. This week, it might be harder to assert our individual will. And at the same time, we might not have access to a situation where everyone agrees. We might have to express an idea or commit an action that produces conflict. And we might get so fed up with something that we say, F it, and we commit an action that produces conflict without thinking about it in a fit of rage. Because it's eclipse season still. Sometimes God makes things unmanageable so that we can learn to trust. Monday. How was your Mercury Cazimi on Monday? Mercury made its superior conjunction with the Sun on Monday, which is now, if you're watching this now. But it's in the past, if you're watching this in the future. The exterior conjunction of Mercury with the Sun happens 3 times a year. The last one was on June 14th, and the one before that was on February 28th, 2024. Mercury with the Sun in Libra can offer fair-minded advice on complex interpersonal issues and can express ideas with charm. And the superior conjunction of Mercury with the Sun elevates these themes to a more universal level. So communication potentially felt heightened on Monday, but it was focused on lofty philosophical applications and universal principles rather than mundane details. The exterior conjunction of Mercury with the sun is like Mercury out with the gods. Basically, Monday, you could see special magic stuff about big ideas that maybe make people get along better. And while we prefer to make peace, we might forget to look at our own relationships closely. Remember this all week, and especially on Wednesday. Anyway, did Wednesday feel mildly victorious underneath some surface tension? That's because the moon was applying to Jupiter all day. The first part of Tuesday is out there, with the moon in Virgo checking in on other planets and taking detailed notes. It's maybe a surprising morning with the moon trining Uranus, followed by an intoxicating yet simultaneously undermining established systems. Middle of the day, that's the moon opposing Neptune in Pisces and trining Pluto in Capricorn. The first part of Tuesday is like, what have you been building? What are we all building? It's very broad. The second part of Tuesday gets down to business with eclipse, the upcoming eclipse affairs, when the moon moves into Libra. Tuesday night is basically eclipse night. It's a dark moon in Libra. It's the waning moon Tuesday, but it's a solar eclipse. I usually talk about lunations. That's full moons and dark moons. And by the way, dark moon is what most people refer to as a new moon. However, astronomically speaking, a new moon is when you can start to see the moon again after it was completely dark. So I'm talking about the dark moon. When people say new moon, it's actually a misnomer. Is that the right term? I don't know. Anyway, I usually frame lunations in terms of 6-month cycles. So this dark moon, which is the solar eclipse, suggests full, maybe into debt expenditure of energy that culminated on the last full moon in Libra, which was a lunar eclipse back in late March. Often dark moons are recognized as a time for endings and new beginnings. But an eclipse on the south node, which is what this is, makes any endings more extreme, irrevocable, and life-changing, potentially. And with a solar eclipse on the south node, you're going to stop. There's something you've been in tune with or relating to in the Libra area of your life that you're going to stop relating to in such a deeply personal way. That's a lot of what a solar eclipse is about. So the moon is activator of the zodiac, and eclipses bring up unexpressed or even repressed energy and manifest it in the world in ways that can feel unwieldy. Because when you repress something, it can suddenly come into view and be difficult to control. These often coincide with times of eclipse. Hey, sweetie. Hey. Because if you go with your gut, that's probably what's divinely meant for you. And I'm not sure if you can cheat fate, but I'm still paradoxically interested in the timing of prayer and rituals. Anyway, the next milestone in this Libra story is the full moon in Libra. This Libra like lunation story is the full moon in Libra on April 12th, 2025. And that's also the day Venus, ruler of Libra, stations direct at her degree of exaltation, or near it. So that's where the healing truly begins in the Libra parts of your chart, in my opinion. So skip back to the Tuesday discussion, which I forgot to do this circle thing. So maybe skip back to Monday, because I talked a lot about the eclipse stuff in the Tuesday section. So Wednesday morning is when the solar eclipse goes exact. The moon also conjoins Mercury on Tuesday, a few hours after the eclipse. So everything from the beginning of this report and from Monday applies. All the Mercury, Cazimi, Mercury superior conjunction with the sun, and the eclipse stuff I talked about for Tuesday night. All of that applies to Wednesday. Wednesday is still the eclipse, the spiritual value of how our communication factors into maintaining our relationships and what place expression of hostility has in that. Take note of this during the second half of Wednesday, where the moon applies to a square with fallen Mars, which is ruler of Aries, which is opposite Libra, which is where the north node is. So everything being subtracted from the realm of Libra in your life is being dumped into the Aries part of your chart, or you'll see it show up there later. Libra wants accord. Libra does not want to deal with conflict. Mars is in detriment in Libra. The opposite sign, Aries, ruled by Mars, is about willingness to enter into and withstand conflict. More on that in a moment. Thursday is like a day to take a break and process. The aftermath is still hot and can still shape eclipse volatility with the moon still in Libra, but it's trining Jupiter in Gemini, so there's at least a little protection and feeling of relief in the morning. The rest of the day is marked by the moon in Libra, making a square to Pluto early Friday, like early in the morning, when it's dark out, right after which the moon moves into Scorpio, where the moon does not like to be. So most of Thursday, hold on to your butts, or hodl, if you will, in blockchain crypto terms. See what I did? Blockchain was born at the beginning of Pluto's ingress into Capricorn, and now it's the end of Pluto's transit of Capricorn. Look at the culmination of this technology 2008 through to now. How it's supposed to be a rebellious money technology, but it's really used to train AI and revolutionize voting, which also trains AI. Anyway, Thursday, just deal with what's in front of you, if you can. Friday is a change in tone. We go from passive-aggressive eclipse darkness in Libra to something more primal and gut-wrenching. It does have its appeal, and it could be worse. It's Fridays, you love to hate it, or it's like a supremely guilty, caught red-handed pleasure. The fallen moon, the moon is fallen in Scorpio, and fallen Mars is fallen in Cancer, where it is right now, are in mutual reception. And Venus in detriment is applying to a trine with her current ruler, Mars, fallen Mars, which is ruled by the fallen moon. And the Venus-Mars trine goes exact next Tuesday. So Venus in detriment, ruled by fallen Mars, is also trining Saturn in Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter in detriment, which is ruled by Secretary of the Eclipse, Mercury in Libra, which is ruled by Venus in detriment. It's fine. Deep okayness. Whatever. And Mars intershadow on Friday. So that means Mars is starting to transit through the degrees that it's going to retrograde back through early next year. So all that stuff about the spiritual value and relational value of disagreement as a necessary component of right relationship from earlier this week, or this general time, the overhaul of your impulse and capacity for offense and defense begins now and doesn't start to wrap up until like late February or even end of April 2025. I'm going to need you to come in on Saturday. There are a number of productive aspects on Saturday, but like emotionally productive, working through some shit, having a good cry, maybe an argument with makeup lovemaking. What I'm talking about is the moon trines Saturn and conjoins Venus early in the day, then trines Mars in Cancer in the afternoon. So the moon is hitting and activating Venus trines Saturn, moon in Scorpio Friday stuff. And Mercury squares Mars late at night. So that's potentially argumentative. Or you've devoted the whole day to outlining your novel using the snowflake method. Everything happening in Saturday is in water signs. So that's why I'm saying it's productive, but it's like more emotionally productive, and it's all kind of gnarly. It's not really like a cake and ice cream type water trine. If you want cake and ice cream, it's probably readily available, but maybe there is something wrong with it, or you might feel guilty afterwards, or you might break out, or you might get a tummy ache. Things potentially get ugly on Saturday, but they could turn out to be cathartic, even if it's like food poisoning. Sunday is like a rerun of the first part of Tuesday. Where are we at now? How have we grown in a matter of days? How are we processing Saturday and all of this week? The moon moves into Sagittarius the second part of Sunday, so treat yourself to a funner, more light-hearted Sunday evening. Just kidding. The moon is squaring Saturn in Pisces, so you can't run away from your problems. Until next time, remember your camera is a Wi-Fi. What? Your Wi-Fi is a camera that can see through walls.